I just see they didn't record that.
God, man, you serious?
I know.
Man,
We're rookies.
stuff,
Hey, we're back at it right now. Here we go. We're back. Hey, what's up, guys? We're back in the lab. Episode 2, season 2, I think total episode 32 with my man Randy Moore. And if you pay for the what's the Patreon or whatever fee, you're gonna see behind the scenes what just happened right now. Randy started sharing his story, and we didn't record it on the audio, so I'm upset, but hey, we're still new at this game. So Randy, I apologize to you, but
you apologizing to me, man.
But that was some great stuff, man. But I have it on video, so I might be able to make it work. But Randy, just you can give a quick run through that again. It's going. We're going right now.
Well, it's cool.
Just share.
Hey, man, y'all, Randy, man, y'all like family, man. So I'm good.
Yeah. I'm glad. I'm just glad I took a look at the left and said, "Hey, that ticker's not ticking, man. Like I can't watch our time."
Ticker's not ticking.
But anyways, Randy's here. Randy's got an amazing story, man, of just where he grew up, what he's been through, and what he's overcome to be here today. So we just want you to share your story, and if you can just share again, so everybody can hear it clearly, like a little bit just of like your beginnings, man.
Yeah. So like I said before, I can't even talk about my beginning until I talk about the real beginning. And so the real beginning is what my granddaddy migrating from the South. He was born in North Carolina. My granny was born in South Carolina. And so my granddaddy, he stated it was 1944, where he said that his family was going to die because they were hungry, and he was a child of a sharecropper, and there was a bunch of them, a bunch of kids, and so he decided to hop a train, and so he started hopping trains. He couldn't read nor write, and so it's kind of amazing how God works. He couldn't read or write. But he landed in Youngstown, Ohio, and secured a position with the Mahoney County Steel Mill because he was strong. He worked in the field. He was strong. He worked in the fields, the cotton and tobacco fields. So he knew something about hard work. So he wasn't going to let anybody outwork him. He couldn't read or write, but you weren't going to outwork my granddaddy.
Wow.
And so, he eventually retired from there too. Still not able to read or write. But his daughter, who was my mother, raised me and my three brothers. Me and my other two brothers.
So
raised
just
three
brothers in your family.
Yeah. It's just us, just brothers. Me, Randy, Reggie, and Wesley.
Yeah.
Yeah, Man, Nudie, and Pee Wee. That's our nickname. Yeah. We got all types of nicknames. When you're children that been raised by folks from the South, you have all types of names.
Right. You get them names from look at little Booger. Why you guys call him Booger? Right. Because when he was younger, he do have boogers. He be 45, he still call him
Booger. Yeah, Booger or Punk or Precious or all types of names. So, so my mother, she raised 3 boys in the inner city. You can Google Youngstown and you can find out a lot about Youngstown, and that's a place that. The saying is that only killers and drug dealers come from Youngstown, Ohio.
Wow.
And so I've seen a lot, and so being the oldest boy, my mouth is getting dry. I don't know why, but anywho,
you got your water. You got water.
Yeah, I got
water?
my water.
Okay, good, bro.
Thank you for reminding me.
Hey, I got it right here, man. I got. I'm usually clearing my throat on the mic all the time and stuff, so you're good.
So, growing up in the inner city. There's always challenges.
Yeah.
There's always challenges. There's always somebody wanting to test you, test your resolve to see who you are and what you're about. Yeah. And so I was raised on the South Side. And so the South Side was infamous for a lot of different things. And so going to school, you're faced with those challenges. So you got to go to school, you got to walk to school, you got to catch the bus, whichever way you're getting there. But the one thing is certain is that, your mother, my mama, she couldn't go to school with me.
Yeah.
And I had 2 younger brothers. So the only thing that I knew to do was to fix myself to a certain group of individuals that, may or may not have been doing the right thing.
Right.
But you need that. You need that backup. You need those.
That's right.
You need those people so you can go from A to B.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Because there's certain neighborhoods that you probably couldn't walk through based upon where you're from. You know, so we were down the hill. So you got down the hill and then you got up the hill. So up the hill and down the hill, those two different ballparks. And then there's Warren, Hillman and Warren, which is the middle. Once after you cross, you know, you're going into a different territory. So, but you know, as I grew up, I was able to go wherever I wanted to go because of how I established myself.
Right.
And so we did that, and you know, I did that. And so there was a lot of times where people would pick on my brothers, but then when they seen me, it was a different story. Yeah. And so though, I mean, there were some good benefits to being part of.
I don't think a lot of people understand when people come from the inner city. Sometimes you become the product of your environment to survive. So you see a guy, he's like, you know what, hey, this dude over here, he's ghetto fabulous, or this dude's just making it to just get out. But then sometimes you become part of the system. So where was it to where you, when he was like, where you realized that, like, I think it's time for a change. I think it's time for me to, I'm doing a little too much.
Well, I mean, it came in stages. Okay. It came in stages because, and they're good and bad stages in a sense. It kind of feels good, but then you're like, is this really happening? And so like I said before, in '89, I bought a brand new Suzuki Samurai and drove it off the showroom floor with 3 miles on the speedometer, and it was plastic still on the seats. So at that moment in time, based upon what I was doing, it seemed like it was okay. Yeah. But still, after you're driving for a while, you're in this vehicle and you're so young, and you know there's a lot of people around you. You're doing things. You're doing all these things. Then you look at the piece like, okay, but it's dangerous too. Right. And so, you know, I continued on that path, and it wasn't until it was like maybe, I don't know, 8 months later. So there were certain places that I went and that I didn't need a vehicle because I just stood around and did some things. Right. And so I would let my brother use my Jeep. And so the homies would be like, hey man, I seen your brother, man, he's speeding like 100 miles an hour in your Jeep. I'm like, man. I was like, man, don't tell me. My brother's not doing that. And so I'm like, man, no, he's not. And I asked him, I'm like, Reg, man, you flying around in my rig? And he was like, nah. Well, that 8th month, he was going up Hillman Street, and he flipped it. He flipped it. Tore the whole thing up.
Lucky he was in the Samurai, though. He was lucky he was in one of them.
Well, here's the deal about the Samurai. You know, those things were flipping back in the days, too. Yeah. But he had all the roll bars and all that stuff in there. So when I saw where the accident was, I had a bra on the front of it, a black bra. So it was like sky blue with a white top, and I had a black bra on it. And so the bra was on the telephone pole wire. It was just hanging there in the middle of the street. And there was glass and stuff, and I didn't see my brother. My brother had went to the hospital. So I went down to the hospital, you know, check on him. All he had was a broken wrist. He got thrown out of the vehicle. And so I went to look because I'm like, okay, I can get it fixed, right? Insurance and all this stuff, get it all squared. Actually, I didn't have no insurance then. That's right. But I could pay for it to get it fixed. And so I went to the junkyard or to the wrecking yard where they had it towed. Yeah, it was like a smashed can. No good. It was like, it was nothing. It was total. It was total. So looking at that, and, you know, I was on a high horse at that time. So it was like, man, you know, everything was working good for me for what I was doing. But it was those type of things where I think God was giving me signs like, hey, man, you know, you need to get on another road. Because you were raised in the church. I know that there's some financial issues and things like that. I know you grew up, but you're gonna have to you got to go another route. So anywho, I continued doing what I was doing. Then I met met this girl, had a baby by her, and I had my daughter around this time. This time it's about 1992. 92. Yes, 1992. And so one of my homeboys, Mike Bush, he's dead and gone now. May he rest in peace. I was still staying with my mother, and my mother, I was living with her. My mother said, "Man," which is my nickname. She said, "Come down here. Somebody's here to see you." So I come downstairs, and the front door of the house, when you open it, there's like a corner where you can put like coats or, umbrellas or whatever the case may be. You can put it behind the door. Right. And so I'm looking. There's nobody on the porch. Nobody. I'm like, "Mom, I thought you said somebody was here for me." So I closed the screen door, and then the door started moving, and it was Mike. And he was like, "Yeah, I just got out, man." Okay. So he had, because he was locked up, so he just got out. Mm-hmm. He came straight over my crib to see me. So we went out on the porch and we were chopping it up.
Is Mike one of your boys you used to run with back in the day?
Yes, sir.
So he was one of your
Oh yeah.
He was your right hand man.
Oh yeah. Me and Mike used to smoke weed in shop.
Okay.
Yeah, way back. We go way back, man.
So he got out.
Way
back. Came to surprise you, and you guys out on the porch chilling, huh?
Yep. And so, and I can remember it just like yesterday. He's sitting there, we're talking, I'm letting him know about my daughter and, how things have changed and stuff like that. He was like, "Hey, I'm going to go to this party on the east side tonight. Man, you want to come with me?" I'm like, "Nah, man." I was like, "I got to stay here. I'm going to kick it with my daughter." Yeah, stuff like that. And that night he was killed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was killed that night. So that was a huge turning point for me. Huge turning point for me because the things that we were doing, there's only two places, either hell or jail. There's no other place because you're not doing the right thing. So anywho, I told my mother, I don't even know how I even thought about this. I said, "Mom," there's got to be something better than this.
Yeah.
People are dying. I can remember a time where this cat was shooting at me and I was running from him, and I could hear the bullets whizzing by my ears, and then I started getting by some trees and I can hear the bullets like hitting the trees. Wow. Yeah. So I'm like there's got to be something better than this. And being in the shootout where we're like so close, right? I mean, I've been in law enforcement. I just got out of law enforcement, but when you're aiming like in law enforcement, I mean, you can hit a target, but you got all these kids with guns and they shooting at each other and nobody's getting hit because they don't know how to shoot. But I just truly believe that was just God, just kind of just putting a hedge around me, a force field, because He had greater things for me to do. But yeah, so I called. So my mother said, "Well, I got a cousin named Terry. She lives in Cheney, Washington." And so he was like, "You remember Terry?" I said, "Yeah, I remember. They used to live in the projects."
Yeah.
She was like, "Yeah." And so so she was like, "Well, maybe you can go live with her." I was like, "Anything's got to be better than this." So she called Terry, and Terry, she had became a nurse, and she was like, "Well, I'm off this day, and we can talk." So I talked to Terry and told her, I said, "I just want to change my life. It's got to be something better." And she knows what Youngstown is about because she came from there.
Right. Yeah.
And so,
and this is your mom's little sister?
My mom's cousin. My mom's first cousin. My mom's first cousin. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. You said it right. I just
my mom's first cousin. So it was my granddaddy and her mom are brothers and sisters.
I got you.
Yeah. And so so she talked to me, and I had another cousin that I had already came up there to Washington, but he didn't like it. He didn't like it because there was a lot of folks that were Caucasian. So he didn't like it because
he was kind of scared. He was a new environment.
Right. And he didn't like it. And so because you're coming from a predominantly African American culture and going into just where it's just Caucasian folks, it's a little different. Yeah. The way you speak and all that stuff. Just
especially being like inner city versus kind of country.
Right.
That's even on top of that.
Yeah, just being around is like, I heard stories. But so this cousin, he was that's her son that came up or
no, that was her first cousin.
Okay.
Yeah, that was her first cousin, which is so this is
a good family, because the people from down south and that channel, they good people, man. They're like family oriented. Before you come West Coast, you be like, nah, we ain't having his badass come up here because we don't want. But go ahead and tell us so you can. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you bet. Some of them you like, okay, come on. The other ones you like, man, listen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was a different time, but the whole deal is, I want you to get back to your story, is that, and I want to talk about is that on, if not this show, another show, is that every generation of people suffer what is it stress type
post-traumatic stress syndrome
when it comes to family issues, and not just culture, family issues, going back from Africans to Americans to natives to Mexicans. There's always something in your family to there's these different things.
You just pass it on.
Some type of trauma, some type of experience. Yeah.
And then you got these issues going on in your life, and it's like, man, why am I like this?
Yeah.
Why am I all money hungry? Why do I care about money? Because when I was growing up, man, I didn't have it. I'm gonna make sure I hold on to it. That's why I'm cheap.
Generational curses.
Generational. But it's just like it's more of it's something that's what it is, man. It's a shock to your life, to where things happen to you, and you're gonna make sure it ain't gonna happen to you or your loved ones. And it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing, but you're just gonna make sure. Just like the conversation is that if I got a cousin that's coming from Chicago, I'm gonna be like, wait a minute now, which cousin is this one? Which one we bringing up here? Because Pookie that shot 4 people ain't gonna change. He ain't gonna change. Yeah, but okay. So your cousin.
Yeah. So my cousin came up there, and he had. And then he left. Right. So she said, listen, she said, if you come, she was like, you can come. And man, she said, but if you come, you buy a one-way bus ticket. That gets to that $98.
I like that.
One-way bus ticket. She said, you buy a one-way bus ticket and you make the best of it. And I was like, I'm down. I'm ready. I'll do it. And I'm telling you, I've always been that guy that like, I just have to do it. I'm just a faith walker, man. I'll walk in a place. I'm just that way. So I took the plunge. Went to bought a bus ticket. 3.5 days. Man, I seen Buffalo, all this other stuff. You know how the movies where you're in it's all this like country roads and it's a phone and a store.
Yeah.
And so I was at the phone. I was like, Mama, there's Buffalo across the street. You know, and so
a different country.
Oh yeah. It was 3.5 days, man. I seen so much of this country. It was good. It was really good. So I get here in Cheney. They pick me up and they take me to breakfast. And so the next day they're like, hey, here's the deal. You need to figure out your way around here. And so Spokane, if you don't know the pronunciation, you would say it's Spokane.
Yeah, Spokane, yeah.
And so it was a couple of days later. And then so I got on, she was like, you can go down there. Here's the bus schedule. You just go right over there. That's where the bus is going to be. So I walked down there. Of course, I look crazy. I'm like cross colors type. I'm totally different. I got braids in my hair. I'm just like totally out of place, right? I look totally out of place. And so the bus comes and the bus driver opens the door. And he said, so I asked him, I said, are you going to Spokane? And he says, we're going to Spokane. And I said, well, I'm going to Spokane. And he said, we're going to Spokane. He never told me that Spokane and Spokane was the same place. And I said, well, y'all go ahead, because I'm going to Spokane.
How long? Hey. How long are we waiting at the bus stop, man? All day?
Oh man. And it comes, it was coming every 45 minutes then, or like 45 minutes to an hour. And so I went back to the house because it was going to be about 45 minutes. And I told my cousin, I said, yeah, they were going to Spokane. And I told him I'm going to Spokane. And she said, boy, that's the same thing. But the guy just drove off, man.
He didn't even try to help you.
He just drove
He
off.
just said, man, this guy ain't all there, man. I'm out.
And plus, he probably was like, I don't even know if I want him on my bus anyhow.
Cross color wind.
Yeah. And so I eventually figured it out, all that stuff, man. I was working. I started working as a nursing assistant. And so, again, I have to go back, too, just so you guys know. When I turned 18, because I thought I was doing the most, with the Jeep and all that stuff, I signed myself out of high school, so I dropped out.
Wow.
Yeah, so I signed myself out, and Mr. Covington and all the principals, they were like, man, don't do it. Mr. Covington was like 6'7". He looked like 6'7".
So there were some good teachers there?
Oh yeah. He was an assistant principal. He was a black dude. He was way cool. He was like, man, don't do it, man. Mm-hmm. He was like, that's the worst thing you can do is that's the worst thing that you can do is drop out of school. And I was like, nah, this is what I want to do. I'm 18. And so I was like, where the paper at? And so I took it and I signed myself out.
You know what was best for you at that moment.
Right. Yeah. I thought, and so I was like, this is what I need to do. So I signed myself out and got my Jeep and bounced, because I'm like, man, how can they tell me what to do when I'm making more money than them?
Yeah,
that's true. Man.
I'm driving better cars than them.
And that life, knowing a lot of people in it, that money, fast money, it's just like a drug.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's drug. Like when you look over
absolutely.
And you look at me scanning in, and it's like, man, you making, man, look, I made what you made in a week. I made what you made in a week. I made that in a day.
Yeah.
Not even a day. I made that in a few hours. Come on, and you need to kick it out here. And so I know so many people that get trapped into that. It's a life that, when I say to suck you in, because you become like this. You're like 14, 15. You got this business mind. And you're learning how to be an entrepreneur at a younger age and know how to make these business moves to where a regular working guy don't have a clue about it. Mm-hmm. So then you put yourself into like let's say, for instance, 50 Cent. The reason why 50 Cent's probably a better businessman he is doing that is because it's easy, because he's usually being on, for not starting on a corner, he's worked out all these different things that he's going to have to walk. He's got to be his own bodyguard, right? Yeah. He got to be his own accountant. He's got to do all these different things to make sure his money's counted, right? Yeah. Now all you got to do is just sit down, make conversation, and sign a contract. Yeah. So, was you going to say something, man?
I was going to say that kind of leads to kind of what we were talking about a little bit before we started. Just with you making that type of money, living that fast life, I'm sure at that moment too, it was fun, have the freedom and stuff. What was the defining, or was there a defining moment that made you say, like, I want to make this change. I want to get out of this life. I don't want this life. Was that your friend passing away? Was that the moment you said?
Yeah, because it was, so, I mean, a whole bunch of my homeboys, they died. I mean, it's a bunch of them got killed. Stuff like that. I mean, that was a norm. Yeah. That was a norm. But to see that he had just gotten out that day.
And he wanted you with him.
And he wanted me with him. Yeah. And here's the deal. If I was with him, whatever was going on, I was going to be in it. Yeah. Because I wasn't going to let him get in it by himself. Mm-hmm. And that's the way the way we were. And so we had did some things to people. Yeah. And so and Mike wasn't one that he would fire off. And so in the hood people call me Cool Ram, because I wasn't the one that talked a lot. Yeah. But everybody else they'd be running their mouth and doing all these things, and I get tired. And so I had a way of either stopping what was going on, or it's really going, or it's going to get it, or it's going to get, or we're going to continue, but it's going to continue a different way.
Right. And those are the ones that be yakking and jacking. Those you don't have to really worry about them. It's the quiet ones you got to worry about. Yeah. No matter where you at.
Yeah, but it was Mike. It was too close. Okay. I mean, it was like he came over there during the day, and he's gone less than 24 hours. Yeah. Come on. I mean, that's so it was that defining moment that made me make that call. Yeah. So I reached out. I talked to my mother. My mother said, "Hey, call Terry." Yeah. And so it was that moment. Yeah. And so which spearheaded everything else to what I'm doing now, because when I was in Cheney, my cousin, she said, "Randy," she said, "you got a lot of street knowledge." A lot of street knowledge. And she said, the way that you are, she was like, you just have to take all of that, what you learned in the streets, and turn it around for good, because I didn't have a father figure other than my granddaddy.
Right.
And so, you know, the pimps, you know, they taught me how to promote my vision, missions, and goals a certain way, right? They did it a different way, but that's what it was.
Yeah.
You know, being able to communicate your mission, vision, and goals, and having people that work for you to buy into that vision, mission, and goals. Right. And then the you know, the OGs, they taught me how to maximize my return on my investment. And so, you know, with having all of that, just like what you just said, like, I was a bona fide entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I had the skill set. I had the skill set.
Hey, you were getting everything that these guys spend thousands of dollars for in a college. You were getting it all.
Yeah.
And it probably at a better level, because it's people walking the walk, and you know what I'm saying? So,
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I mean, think about it. Vision is what you see.
Yeah.
Mission is the vehicle how you get there, and the goal is putting both of those together and accomplishing that.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, vision plus mission equals goal.
Yeah.
And so just that way, but of course theirs was a different way, right? But it was the same concept.
Right.
It's the same concept all the way around the world. You know, you got the politician doing the same thing that the pimp is doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're just doing it on two different platforms.
100%.
They're just doing it on two different platforms.
You got these pharmaceutical companies that's the biggest drug dealers in the world.
But
they got a PhD or something next to their name, they can pimp, hustle, and all these types of shops. And you know, they throwing the guy that's getting the crumbs in prison. You know, they're walking with billions,
and they get the slang dope for free and get paid millions of dollars, and they're still tearing up the homes in our communities. They're tearing up homes left and right.
And they're at their highest point nowadays, doing it right now than any other time. These pharmaceutical companies are just pushing, and nowadays your doctor is working with them.
Oh yeah,
you know?
Oh yeah,
That's the way it is.
True.
You sprain your ankle, take you some Aleve. And don't go over there because you never know what they give you and how it's going to affect the chemical and the chemical makeup of your brain, right?
Yeah.
Because you may like it more than you think.
Yeah.
And so based upon that, now you become another customer for them. Yeah. And now you said you broke your one ankle. Now you're going back, hey, I broke this wrist, or you got all these pains, these ailments because, you know, a crackhead on the corner can be the same person that's addicted to hydrocodone. Yeah. They're all making up lies to try to get that next fix.
Yeah.
And whatever they want to do, they're going to do whatever they can to get it.
That's true.
You know.
All right. So
I'm
sorry.
You're
good. That's good. I want to. So you become at some point, and maybe I'm jumping ahead.
I know, but I just want
to say,
you got to think he was in Spokane. He did his deal. He's basically you're about what, maybe about like 20, 21.
Yeah. I got here when I was 20.
So you wanted, because you got to think he's been a police officer. But
That's what I was
trying to get him. I want to kind of get a story to it.
You go from running from cops to being a cop. Yeah. How did that transpire?
Oh man. So
that's got to be one of the craziest transitions.
So here's the deal. Like, God's grace, because the things that I did. And I've been to jail. The things that I've done, they only equaled out to like misdemeanors or gross misdemeanors. I mean, that's favor.
Yeah,
that's favor, and not a felony. So I met my wife in Cheney when I was like 22 or 20. Yeah, 22, and I think we got married when I was 23, and. I had a little Ford Escort. She was driving by, and in the hood, you know, you be like, you know, you just holler at them. So I was like, "Hey, pull over."
You just told her pull over.
I told her pull over, and she still tell me today. She said I should have kept driving.
she locked that. She's like, pull over.
Yeah. And so, but being in Cheney, if you're African American, either there's only two reasons why you're there. Either you playing football or basketball for the college.
Yeah.
And so she was a college student going to Eastern, and she was living she was from Othello. she's originally from Mexico. My wife was born there. Came by way Texas. All her family is in Texas, and so they landed after traveling with the field working. Traveling, and her dad landed here in Washington because it was so profitable. Yep. But yeah, so I met her, and man, I ain't never seen no more prettiest Mexicana in the world, man. She messed me up, man. Yeah. She messed me up, man.
So you saw you like pull over.
Yeah, I told her pull over, and she pulled.
Very aggressive.
Yeah.
Now.
And that night, so she invited me and my brother. So my brothers was here too, and so she invited us over and to watch movies. It was VHS back then. Yeah. And so I wasn't interested in no movies. I was interested in her. Yeah. And so she was in there cooking. And it's something about a woman that cooked, right? Yeah. She was in there cooking. I was watching her, and I told her, I said, you know what? I said, I'm gonna marry you. She was like, you crazy? I just met you. I was like, no, I'm gonna marry you. Yeah. And so ever since then, we've been inseparable.
That's what's up.
We've been through hell and high water, but we've been inseparable. And so we get through. So we have a baby, and my son Marquise, and so then we have what I like to call intense fellowship. Me and my wife, we had intense fellowship, and we kind of split up a little bit, and so she went to Moses Lake.
You was growing because let me tell you, the guests out there, men really don't grow up until we 31. Yeah. We don't grow up. We still kids. I'm always gonna be a kid, but still.
And then we're still kids. Yeah.
But go ahead.
And so she went to Moses Lake, and so one day it was a Sunday, and I was living with some of the dudes in Spokane, because you move to one place and you start. Yeah. It's like a kindred spirit. Like you go to one region and the same stuff that you was doing or hanging around.
Came back. Huh? You kind of like drifted back.
I did, and drifted back in a major way.
What was cousin saying?
Which one?
The one that brought you up here, like.
Your aunt. Cousin.
Yeah, my cousin. Yeah, I kept her out of that. I didn't really. I didn't. I kept her. I kept her away from that because there would have been some conversations that weren't that I wasn't ready for.
You really respected her.
Oh, absolutely. She's like my mother.
Yeah, and
that's she's older. Yeah, my mother and her are first cousins, so she's like my mom. Yeah. She's. I mean, I left there I got here when I was 20. I'm 50 now. Mm-hmm. She's been in my life for 30 years more than she's been like an intricate part of my life.
Yeah. So you respect her to keep her out of there. You kind of went through your little deals when your wife was your wife moved to Moses Lake.
Right. Okay. And she was working in Moses Lake and living in Othello, and just one Sunday, man, I was always raised to go to church, but I wasn't going to church, and so it was just a Sunday, and me and one of the dudes that I was living with, we were on the front porch of the apartment complex drinking a 40. And I looked up in the sky, and I was like, and I told him I looked up, and I told him, I said, hey, man, I think I want my wife. And so I called her up, and we just got back together. I packed I had a 1982 Oldsmobile 98 Brougham. They call it Brougham. And I packed that joker up, and it was clean. It was clean. It was just sweet. Cream all the way through.
You might see your boy
half rag on it, half vinyl rag on that mug. Yeah. Coach lights. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It was just it was like riding with lazy boys,
right?
And so I packed everything up I had, man. Gave stuff away, and I drove up here. And so drove up here. We started going to the Church of God in Christ. And so the police thing happened because Pastor Graham, our church was over there by the railroad tracks, over there by Moses Lake Auto Wrecking.
Yeah.
And so Pastor Graham was a chaplain with the police department, so he knew Chief Haynes. And so I got a job working at the hospital, and then I transitioned to the school district, and I was a security officer there. And so if you want to work for the school district, they say you have to be applicable for the police academy. So the only problem with that is that I didn't have a driver's license. because I was getting a lot of tickets in Spokane, and my license was I was a habitual driving while license suspended driver, and I had all these fines, and it was revoked for 5 years.
Yeah,
and so I drove there every day to work on a suspended driver's license. So, the pastor talked to Chief Haynes, introduced me, and Chief Haynes and them, man, they I don't know, man, they just saw something in me that I didn't see in myself.
Yeah.
And so I sat down and told him my story, and he said, you know anything about Hilliard? I said, nah. He said, I used to be in gangs too. And he was like, we used to have switchblade fights, but he was the chief, in Moses Lake. And so he said, this is what I'm gonna do for you. He's like, I'm gonna write a letter to the DMV. And because of Pastor Graham, I'm gonna write a letter to the DMV and try to see if you can get your license reinstated. Well, he wrote the letter to the DMV and contacted this attorney and found out that my license was suspended or revoked, but there was a clause in the law that stated that if you file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, because I owe like, I don't know.
Oh, got you. So it came down to funds then.
Mm-hmm. So I owe like $7,500 in fines. Ooh. And so if you file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy and start making payments on those fines, they have to allow you to reinstate your license. Yeah, okay. So, but you don't know, right? Yeah. I didn't know that. I mean, only the chief knew. I mean, he knew all that stuff. So, so he pulled some strings. Eventually, I applied. They said, "Hey, you got to go through a polygraph." I went to the polygraph. I didn't know that, what a polygraph was about. They just said, just tell the truth. So I'm there 3 hours, man, later. And after
they're like, man, this guy's good. He's got a book in him.
Yeah. And then after the polygraph, I asked the guy, I said, hey, did I pass? He was like, man. He was like, I don't know. He was like stuttering, man. He was like, I've got to get us to the powers to be. And so, lo and behold, they accepted me to be a reserve police officer. Yeah. And the first day I got there, one of the sergeants was like, he took me in and he was like, listen, man, I want to know. People who have done what you done, and they called it a rap sheet back then, your rap sheet, there's only two things with you. Either you've changed or you have a vendetta against cops. Yeah. And I want to know which one are you. I was like, I've changed. Yeah. And he was like, okay. He was like, I see you have some knowledge in the streets and things like that. So when we go out here, you just observe. But he didn't say it in that manner. He said some things I ain't going to say right now, but he didn't say it in that manner. And I was like, well, man, I don't even know if I want to do this after this joker done talked to me like that. Yeah. Because I thought he was kind of, not being fair. Right. I thought he had something against black folks, but he didn't because me and him have a great relationship today. But it started off, I went out there, man. I did the academy. I had got my GED as well. And it was one of the best things that ever happened to me because I started to see things from a different perspective. Yeah. And because I wanted to help people. Yeah. I didn't get into law enforcement so that I can arrest anybody, so I could put people in jail. Yeah. My thing was that I wanted it to make the playing field even because I always saw officers, taking people and just treating them real bad. Yeah. I mean, case in point, one time, I got picked up. They took me all the way down the hill to the where the cemetery is down on Oak Hill, and the stuff that they confiscated, they took it and was like, "Get out."
Was this back in Youngstown?
If I was a cop, I did the same thing.
And the same.
I'll be a dirty ass cop.
You said that plenty of times.
Because let me tell you, if I see a drug dealer. And let me tell you, I need to take my family vacation.
Hey, what you got on my vacation?
Give me $4,500. I'm giving you a pass right now. You could be locked up for a long time. You agree? But go ahead.
Well,
that's not true. I'm gonna be a dirty guy.
So when I got up here though, through the course of time, my mother called me and was like, "Hey, you remember so and so?" I said, "Yeah." It was like, hey, they busted him taking a couple kilos out of the evidence room. So he had to go to jail, man. So all the cats that he did wrong.
Oh yeah.
I can't even. And he had a jerry curl too. Hey, he had a jerry curl. So and he wasn't heavy. He wasn't a big dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm like.
I almost spilled my water out, dude.
Damn. I know, but man, he wasn't right, man.
Yeah,
that cat wasn't right, man, and doing his people that way.
Yeah,
right.
You know,
I think a lot of people get a power trip. They get a sense that they get authority and they abuse authority, man.
Yeah.
You know, and
that's the thing is a lot of times you get a lot of these square ass dudes that's cops and stuff that get in there and just be like, oh, I got a little bit of power now.
Yep.
Shut up, punk. You know, they get that. But you know, being a guy that kind of knew, like your aunt was saying, you got a lot of street knowledge. I think guys that got street knowledge, like the cop, like he said, you got to vendetta against cops or you change. You can see the whole world from a different.
Oh yeah.
And I know you. So the thing is, like, if you was a dude sitting here, I know you. I might wait a minute. I would probably got on the defense, but I know you. I know you're a good dude.
But I think that you know, almost in a sense, should be a requirement to be a police officer, man, because you have people that police people from different backgrounds. They can't relate, and you need to relate, man. In my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It allows you to police for the right reasons.
Right,
Absolutely.
right. And I was having a discussion with a guy I know who's a coach with now, and I was telling him is that, and we had this discussion I think on the show before, is that when it comes to black males whatnot, they need to put themselves in a position of authority like that, even if it's not teaching, coaching, being at a higher position to where if I'm basically yelling at a kid who's a white kid or a Mexican kid, and I'm going hard on them for them to be a better individual, when they get older and they see a black man talking to them and they're a cop, they're not going to get on the defense like, oh, I'm afraid. They know. All right, yeah, I'm in the wrong. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of times you're not getting that authority figure, a father figure from a lot of black males on those deals. Times are changing in a major way. In a major way. And you put yourself in those type of positions, and then you put yourself, and I put myself to where we've been around kids that are all different, you know, ethnic backgrounds, and we're yelling at them to be better.
Yeah.
So when that kid gets older, he'll understand, hey, if this guy's talking to me crazy, he's just talking to me crazy. I ain't gonna shoot him because I don't know what he's making a false move or anything like that. So it's just about us growing as a people. You know, so not just that, you being a cop. You got a cop story you want to tell us?
I could tell you this.
Randy told me a story years ago where he was. I don't know. I'm gonna just tell it real quick.
Oh, the one where I told the dude to stop, or
no. This is one where there's a kid that there's some game banging stuff going on. He says, Randy's like, I'm running. I'm running. I'm hopping fences, chasing, and he says he jumps the fence, boom. And it's a party going on, but it's kind of like a Mexican type party going on. The music's going, and he's saying everybody's dancing, having a good time, and he's like looking to see, oh shit, this dude's a Mexican kid I was chasing. I can't know what. And he says I looked over, and dude's over there sweating, just acting like he's part of the party.
Yep.
Is that the one?
Yeah. No, I know. I have one of my very first stories.
Did you catch him or let him go?
You know, typically I was the type of guy, I'll catch them, and then I'll take them.
Yeah.
And then I'll find out, you know, where they're at and figure out if it's something. If I have to arrest them, I will. But if not, I know
the guys loved you, man.
Because here's the deal, man. Those guys, like those kids that you chase, man, like they got their whole life ahead. Yeah. And it's like we see that they're wrong, but I think at times we have to look at not how much of what they've done, but who they can become.
Yes.
Right. If you can, because sometimes you just can't. Sometimes because if they do something, see, the law says in certain things that you shall. Yeah. And so if you're a police officer, there's no leeway, you know, for you to say, well, I gotta let you, you can go ahead and go, or whatever the case may be, or give them a warning. But there are places, because if you don't, then your license can be taken away. So when you say shall, when it says shall in the law, you got to arrest them. You don't have a choice. You don't have a choice in the matter. And so But the one story was I was still on FTO. I was training, and I was with my trainer. And this was when weed was illegal. And we heard that there was a cat riding around on a bike, you know, slinging weed. And sure enough, here he is right in front of me. And I'm on the passenger side, so I jump out. And I start chasing him, and I say, and so he fell. I pulled out my firearm. I said, stop, I'm gonna bust a cap in your ass.
You said that to him?
I did. And I did.
And what happened? What?
Oh man, hey,
He stopped?
He stopped. We got him. It was all recorded on the mic with the VHS tape, and Moses Lake never let me live that down. That was the funniest thing they ever heard.
Stop busting cap in your ass, motherfucker! He was like, I never heard that before.
And because it was part of like,
Yeah.
you know, it just came out.
It was just instinct.
It was instinct. It just came out. It wasn't like, you know, stop, get on the ground.
Yeah,
you know,
like the whole
it was no protocol, man. I just kind of went all the way back to Youngstown, and so my FTO. She tells the story better than me. She tells the story. She's no longer here anymore. She tells the story better than me. And if she watches this, she's gonna crack up laughing, and she's gonna tell everybody. But it
what the guy do? Turn around like what? Like,
yeah, he just got down.
Like, this guy means business.
Yeah, and we arrested him, you know, for because he had weed, you know, he had dope. So that was my first funniest thing. Kind of like, I mean, at that time I was embarrassed, you know, for what came out of my mouth because I had just went through training, right? I had just went through a whole bunch of training, and now this is what comes out.
Right. We went through all this, but we didn't go through the whole word.
I
hear you, man.
So it was those type of things, and getting tased. You know, when you had to get tased, you know.
How'd that feel?
Oh man, I got it. Oh man, it was the worst thing. It felt like you getting hit with a sledgehammer all over your body, man. Every part of your body. It's the worst for 5 seconds, but then it's gone.
Yeah. So that pain. Hey man, did your testicles hurt afterwards? I was thinking
maybe if you got shot in them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that. But you just think your body locks up.
No, it's just muscle. Because a taser, what it does is just locks up your muscles. But you can't lock up anyone's muscle who was on like meth or LSD stuff. Yeah, you can get out of it. Because I tased a guy that was right there in at Valley in Stratford, and I tased him from the front. That joker went like this, like the Incredible Hulk, and just took him off. I was like, oh, shoot. And I just threw it out the way, and I pulled my firearm on him. I was like, man, if he did that, I know what it did to me. I'm like, I'm not going to survive this, man. This guy, he was way bigger than me.
Well, did you get any tussles?
Nah. You know, I never got in a fight. I always have to help someone if they're. But I've never gotten in a fight. Nobody ever wanted to fight me because I treated everyone with dignity and respect. Right. Come 8 to 80, dumb, crippled, and crazy. I don't care. I treated everyone with dignity and respect. Yeah. I don't care who you were. That's what I did because I understand that, that people are human, right? Yeah. No matter what they're doing, they're having a bad day or they're doing something wrong, but it's up to the law enforcement officer to bring it to their attention, to put them on the right path and stuff like that. So it was community-oriented policing that I learned in the academy, and I think that has fallen by the wayside. Now, I know Moses Lake, I'll tell you, I've worked in 3 different departments. Yeah. Moses Lake, Texas, and even Eastern Washington University Police Department. And I can tell you hands down that Moses Lake has been unique. The camaraderie, the relationship, and what they try to do in terms of making sure they're treating people fair and firm and consistent. Now, I haven't been here in a long time, but that was my experience.
I hear the same thing.
That was my.
I don't trust these cooking ass cops. I'm just messing around. No, I'm just saying. Like if I didn't know Rand, I would just be like over here like this motherfucker. I know Rand, so I'm like I believe what you're saying, man.
Yeah, no, those guys, man. I mean, to be in this community, I mean, it's tough too because in our community we have in Moses Lake there is a generational systemic gang generational thing that's going on where and it's like I get it. I get it. It's hereditary. It's what you've been taught. And a lot of people don't understand, man, what you're being exposed to. That's what you're going to be, man.
Yeah.
And you can't, jump down the throat of this little guy because he's walking around and all he's doing is mimicking what he sees at home.
I think that's the hardest thing for people in general to understand.
Yeah.
I feel like it's really hard for people here in our community to understand. I think it's our job.
It is.
Help facilitate that change and people to see these are just kids.
Yep.
I'm a big believer in that. And I believe that's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I'm all about just giving kids opportunities.
Right. Absolutely.
If they don't know there's opportunities out there for them, they're going to walk that same path.
That's
you know
right.
What I'm saying? So it's our job to continue to hey, broaden the horizons, right?
Yep.
There's opportunities out there.
There's that's to agree. And me, I'm a little bit stubborn. Because after you hit, listen to it, if you're doing that, there comes a point in your life to where you hit a certain age, and if you're still doing it, ain't nobody going to save you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think, the age may be, 16, 17, you got your aunt helped you out. I would have been like, nah, that little motherfucker ain't come up here because he's 20 years old. But that's me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I'm it becomes a certain time to where you can kind of look at it and be like, okay, this young man.
I hired a young guy to work for me recently, and after I hired him, man, he just told me he's like, man, I just been, because he's kind of walked in and out of that life too, some. But he said, I've just felt like every time I was starting to make some headway, I wouldn't get the job, or I wouldn't get the, you know what I'm saying? So it just kind of pulls you back, and it kind of is a punch in the gut to where it's maybe, fuck, I'm just going back to this lifestyle because I can't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he was just very appreciative. And I tell everybody that come across my path, I'm just going to take you for face value. Because I hear a lot of stuff that goes on out there because I have 4 kids at 4 different ages, so we know.
Yeah.
But I said, you come in, you talk to me, you show me who you are through how you talk to me, I'm going to treat you that way until you show me otherwise.
Right.
But he was so appreciative, man. That's why it's so hard. I get what you're saying, that because they're those ones, but sometimes I feel like they're just not getting that break.
I look at it the thing is, and call me a stubborn, ignorant, I don't care. But the guys that's banging and doing stuff like that around here, they don't need to do. They just doing that shit just to do it. Now, when my man came from here, there's some times where you have to live that life to get from A to B, and you become that. A lot of those guys, you talk about all these sports athletes that came from these tough neighborhoods with gaming, they're affiliated in some way so they can get from A to B. Yeah. That's just the way it is. But if you around here gang banging, you just doing it just because you just banging.
I agree. I agree in a sense.
You can easily say deuces to that stuff and go to work and check in and check out. So whatever I don't feel sorry for you motherfucking ass if you ain't getting no job or if you ain't getting laid by the girl because you ain't with the right set. I give 2 shits, but that's just me, right? Because you can get out of that shit overnight. So
the one thing I would say to rebuttal that, I would say Black Sedition. So you look at Black Sedition, right? I was working in code enforcement. I went there. I'm gonna tell you, man. Y'all don't know what I did in Black Sedition, man. I would go in there. They had landlords. You got families. You got Mexican families. You got black families. You got white families living there, and the sewage and everything is backing up in their house, running in the backyard. All this stuff, just slumlords. Yeah. And so I went in there. I said, hey, here's the deal. They may be poor. Or don't have the education to acquire a better paying job, but you don't have to do that. You don't have to treat them that way,
right.
and still get their rent and take their rent. And so I did a bunch of stuff, man. I wrote letters. I made the landlords put these folks up in motels and all this stuff. I put it on them. They didn't like to see me coming because it's like they're there, and so the only way that they're going to break out of that cycle is that somebody shows them some type of love, and it has to, and it doesn't mean that you have to not be Anthony, not be Derek, and it doesn't mean that you have to deplete your finances to help them, but it's that one thing, be like, hey man, what's up? having a conversation, and just like you being straight up and blunt with them and honest, be like, hey, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? You gonna get out? You gonna stop this, or you still want to live here? And this is all you gonna get? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, and be honest with them, be like, hey, all you're gonna get is what you see. Yep. So do you want to see something different? Yep. And then have the fortitude or the courage to take that person and show them something different. Like, hey, listen, man, you want to ride with me to Spokane? You guys take one hard guy. Yeah. Take him to Spokane. Make sure he ain't got no guns on him and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Take him somewhere. Show him something different, or take him fishing. Do something different. Because that's what's going to change their lives. You don't know how many people, man, that were back there and that lived on Grand Drive when I was in at Chief Mo Middle School. There were Mexicanos that were Sureños and Norteños. That, man, I could walk down there. I could go anywhere because I treated them with dignity and respect, and also I spoke into their lives, man. Yeah, I was like. Yeah, they're drawing these things, smile, laugh now, cry later, all this other stuff. I'm like, oh, hey man, hey, that's good. Yeah. And so it's all about digging for gold, man. I dig for gold. I'm a leader. I'm the director of campus safety for Spokane schools, public schools, and I dig for gold. All of my team members are different and eclectic, but we have to dig for gold. There's value in every one of us. There's value, and so we have to dig for it, because oftentimes you look like me. People see the glory, but they don't know the story. You see what I'm saying? You can see the outer shell, but there's something much more in that individual. And so, but we've got to pry. We've got to pry, and we've got to be we have to have courageous conversations and let them know, hey, here's the deal, man. I ain't trying to sit here and be no punk, but I'm concerned about you. Yeah. I'm concerned about how you're moving this way. I'm concerned about how you're acting this way, and that's not cool. You're not. First of all, you're not going to get a job doing that. Yeah. You're not going to have a successful career or a wife and all that stuff. But this is how you do it, and show them. Yeah. And just have the courage to lead by example and model the way. Yeah. There's leadership, model the way. It's so. It's a huge feat, a huge task.
Yeah, it's easier said than done. There's a process.
Absolutely.
And don't get me wrong. You gotta put a lot of time into it. Mm-hmm. And basically, like what I was getting at is that from the guys around here, like you said, it's more of a generational deal. Yeah. So their uncles and their dads did it, so it kind of trickles down where they feel like they got to do it, but they don't got to do it. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of something that they've seen in their family or something like that. Yeah. But then you go back to you basically the gains first started, and those things were basically, it came from territory, from moving from A to B. For me to get this education, I got to be cool with him, and them. So I know if somebody's tripping with me, I know we can make it back and forth to school. Not I just want to do it, drink 40s and go to the park and kick it and do my thing. Right. And that's a lot of kids got it twisted, because what your uncle did and your daddy did is a whole different world, because they was banging when they was banging for a reason to a certain degree. So basically, after you became a cop. Now you guys got to remember, my man was a preacher too. I've been in his church, but man, you get down too. So how did you get to the preacher part?
Oh man,
it was in his blood, man. It was always.
It was always there. It was always there. It was always there.
He be going now. He's good.
It was all.
I wish, man. I mean, you should think about it, like getting into it again, man.
Yeah, I when I left. Moses Lake, because as a preacher, so I became a pastor because I was at the Church of God in Christ, and so Church of God in Christ is my foundation. It's hand in hand with Assembly of God, and so it's Pentecostal holiness. And so at that moment in time, we couldn't wear shorts. My wife couldn't wear any makeup. We couldn't wear short sleeve shirts like I got on today. And so we couldn't go to the movies. Wow. We couldn't listen to rap music or anything. I like country music. Country music is my favorite. And so I couldn't listen to anything that was considered secular. When Kirk Franklin came out with Stomp, the church went crazy. They were like, "What is he doing? He's in the streets." Wow. And that's how closed we were. And so there was a lot of people coming and they wouldn't come back. And so I was watching this for many years, and I told my pastor, I said, I just felt this calling. I was like, I just believe that God is calling me out to go to, you know, to get those people that left. And so I did, and you know, of course, I started to work and everything, and everything was great, man. Everything was great, but oftentimes you can be victorious in public, but yet be a private failure. You know, a lot of people don't talk about. They don't talk about, like, you know, when people are giving you all these accolades and they hold you in this high regard, right. Oftentimes you're a man. right. And so in public, you know, I did all the right things and all these things, but in private I was a failure because I didn't take care of my family like I should. Right. I made bad decisions as a pastor. You know, there's so many different things, and a lot of people, when pastors mess up and pastors do things that people don't think that they should do, but I'm only human, right? I'm only human. And so they hold pastors and they say, well, he ain't no good. Well, what about you? Yeah. No, you did the same thing I did, but now you're running around town talking about me. Right. Yeah. And so,
you know, there's this thing, Randy, like, because that's probably one of the biggest complaints in every church, really, right? Because we always, we're big hypocrites of everybody, you know. And my biggest thing, and I try to tell this to people whenever they talk about a certain leader in the church or something, I'm like, you put them up here. And we all do in a certain degree because of their title,
right.
But they're only a man. They're only man. They're only human. Like, and I think people need to realize, like, hey, none of us are perfect. We're all gonna have failures. We're all gonna slip up. We're gonna have faults and things. And once you can do that, and it's hard to do. It's hard to do. But if you can do that as a church member, where you're like, he's a human. He's a man. Like, but it's hard to do, man.
It took me to become, in my 30s, to realize is that man is there is to basically just give me the word. I'm not supposed to look at him.
And it doesn't mean he's a bad
he's supposed to just give me the word. He's supposed to just give me the word.
Yeah.
And he's giving me the word, and that's all I need from him. I don't need to put him on a pedestal, because I'm only supposed to do that for one.
Yeah.
Not him. But thank you for giving me that advice. So when you get there, you realize we all just men, and we all got these things. That's the reason why he's doing that. Yeah. He's up there preaching that because those same reasons, you know. And remember, when you preaching and you doing that, the evil's coming for you more than anybody. It's coming for you more than anybody.
And that's the thing, because a lot of people don't know, like, pastors go through it because the enemy, the devil, doesn't want to mess with none of the people in the church. If he can get the head,
it breaks.
If he can get the head, if he can mess with the head, that's the attack. A lot of people don't know, man. Like Pastor Mike, pray for him.
Yeah,
he's a dynamic man. This guy is the real deal, Holyfield.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you the real deal.
So this preacher Mike we talking about, is this your preacher, the guy you go to?
He's the real deal. He's the real deal.
I might go to
he doesn't play any games, man. That guy.
I might have to go down there.
Listen.
Can I just go in, or do I got to pay like a big toll at the door?
No.
Can I go? How does it work?
You got to pay a lot of money to go. Can
I just go?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've only invited this guy 100 times.
Oh man. Hey, listen.
Hey, send the collection pedal right one more time again.
No.
Preacher Mike, and pass it around one more again. I'm just going around. I'm just messing around. Preacher Mike, I'm just joking around.
Yeah. Nah,
we're gonna get Mike on here someday.
He's the real deal, man. I'll tell you, he's walked with him and his wife, Pastora Mary and Pastor Mike. They've walked with me and my wife hand in hand. They know our story. They've never looked down on us, talked down. They've only tried to build us up. And at all times, and I'll tell you, like, here's the deal. As a pastor, and not only do the people walk away from you when you messed up, but the other pastors that wanted you around, you can't find them no more. Because they want to separate yourself.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, Pastor Mike and Pastor Mary, they were there.
Yeah,
they were there.
So
they need to be, man. We're all broken, bro.
You're 50. You're still young. You're still young, man.
Yeah.
I hope one day you start up again? I hope you do.
Well, I believe.
I hope you do.
I believe that. I believe God is going to do that. I really believe, because when I left here, I helped out and oversaw 3 churches in Texas.
Yo, tell us should be a transfer from being from here, and then you decided, hey, I'm gonna go to Texas.
So we went down to Texas because my wife's family, and we wanted to make sure that we were there. I have family there too, but we went down there for my wife's family, and I'll tell you, I got there, and so
what part of Texas?
San Antonio.
San Antonio.
Yeah, and so like I told you, being on the pedestal, right? So when I was here, man, I had 3 cars, my family. We had all these things. Everything was great. I get down there. Every car got repoed. We didn't have any furniture. We got down to 1 pack of chicken in the freezer.
Starting all over.
And I'm sitting here crying, and I'm telling my wife, I'm like, I'm nothing. Yeah. I'm nothing. And a lot of people don't know that story. And so actually when we got there, we were first homeless.
Man, the devil played
So we
were
homeless in Texas when and that's the honest to God truth. We were homeless, and we had to go live with my mother-in-law. We were homeless when we got there, and a lot of people don't know that. And I called Pastor Mike crying, and Pastor Mike sent me some money, right away, and just just so that we can eat. It's crazy stuff how that happened. But then we got an apartment, we got on welfare, and welfare is something to help you out, get you to that next step. Yeah. And we have food stamps and stuff like that. But we made it through that process. I get a letter from my church here in Moses Lake, and they say, hey, so they had licensed me as a bishop, and I was overseeing that church and then helping with other ones in San Antonio. And so, which is another story. Yeah. And they had stated that they said, we want to just be friends. So it was a church that me, my wife, and my 2 boys, and missionary Warren, Imogene Williams, and her 3 kids started, wrote the bylaws, everything. We did it all. Yeah. And then I established a board, because we were, it wasn't as big as Pastor Mike, but we had a multicultural, a lot of different people. So we had like 100 and something people coming every Sunday. Wow. But it got pretty big, so I had to get a board, executive pastor, all these things. And so they wrote me a letter stating that they wanted to just be friends, and they wanted to not be attached anymore. And so because the reasoning was that I was sending newsletters about what was going on in San Antonio, and they thought that I was going to make them like the church in Moses Lake like them. I said, no, we're the mother church. These are sister churches. And so it was just confusion, right? So the enemy likes to confuse people when you say things. The enemy are twisted because the Bible says that the enemy is the prince of the air. So whatever you say, people get it twisted. You ever said something to someone and they're like, and they start crying or they get mad. Yeah. It's like, that's not what I said. Yeah. The devil just twisted the words. And so that all took place, and I was just at a serious low, man. And I want to tell you, I gave everything over to God. I preached a long time, like 11 years prior to that. And pastored people, was a leader, raising up leaders. But I never knew God like I met him in San Antonio. Wow. Changed my life, man. I'm telling you, he came to the rescue and turned it around to he turned everything around, got me in the academy. I'm working, I'm doing all these things, man, turned everything around for me. So I'll tell you, it is it was just.
So all that going on, and boom, the academy, all that stuff kind of came.
Yeah, all of it, and working for Comal County Sheriff's Office right outside San Antonio. It was right outside Bexar County. It's Comal County, and I'll tell you, it was a blessing.
San Antonio is like one of the biggest, fastest growing, like richest communities, like right now.
And yes,
right now. I looked. I don't know why I came out. I don't know. I look at some weird shit, but I looked that up. And it said that. I was like, wow.
Yeah. Like, and so I worked at the oldest country dance hall. I'm gonna try to find this picture for y'all. I worked at the oldest country dance hall in Texas, and it's called Green Hall. It's historic, and so that was my off-duty job. And so
he was a sheriff.
Oh, I was everywhere, man. And
you were one of them hats. You were one of them hats, didn't you? Oh, I can see your big ass up coming on the side of the car with one of them hats. Like, hey, how you doing there, partner?
hey, I wear a cowboy hat.
Cowboy hat.
Oh yeah.
Cowboy boots.
I'm talking about the big. Do they wear cowboy hats down there?
Yeah.
That's Texas.
What do you guys call down there? The
Texas Walker Ranger.
The Rangers.
Oh yeah, the Rangers. Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah, I have to show you my. Actually, here's my hat when I was wearing on duty.
How you boys doing that?
Look at this guy. He's tripping.
How you boys?
So there's
you fit right in, huh?
Oh man, yeah. Because you have to understand though, my roots are. All my folks are from the South. Yeah. So when I got to Texas, I saw the interesting thing about Texas is that you got black folks, white folks, Mexican folks, Asian, everybody. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that unites everybody is that you're Texan. And you know what? I met white folks that eat chitlins, man. Grits.
That's crazy.
Collard greens. And it's like, and everybody is like, they're all family, man.
My roots go back to Texas too.
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah. Your roots do go. Yeah.
There's some Texas.
And so you see that guy?
Oh yeah, that's not him, is it?
Yeah. I was the head of his security detail.
Oh, like Kevin Costner. I was like,
yeah. So I met so many different like people: Willie Nelson, Loretta Lynn, Blake Shelton.
Oh, wow.
Like so many different people, man. It was just amazing. So it was cool. Amazing ride,
So basically, you went from all this stuff. You went from these dark places to good to dark, then went really, really bad. It sounds like, and when you got to Texas, you basically found the guy you was looking for, basically in the long term.
Yeah. He found me, man. Mm-hmm. He found me. But he had to strip me of some things so that I could really see him.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes we have so many things around us, the worldly things, right? Our house, our cars, our money, our job, all these things, and so. God he can't get to us because we're surrounded by all of this other stuff that is only temporal. I mean, he's the only thing that's eternal. Mm-hmm. And so we're his children and he wants us, and he'll send subtle little things to show you, who he is. And he just wants that relationship with us. And so when he did that, man, changed everything because I never knew God like that, man.
Yeah.
Like like big love, man. Just so much love that that he would think enough of little old me, man, right. to bless me in such a way.
So what brought you back to Washington, Mike?
My boys, they wanted to go to Eastern Washington University, okay. And so
right where you first place you met the mama.
Yep,
right
yep,
there. Hey, pull over.
You told him you're gonna find your wife there.
Yeah. And so Marquise left. My oldest, who he's already graduated, he got his master's degree. He's doing super good. And then Malik was like, hey, when I graduate, because they both of them graduated from there, and he was like, when I graduate, I'm going back to Washington. And so they did. And so I'm looking at my wife, I'm like, you know what? They're in college. And so Marquise was already 2 years there. And so Malik was coming. And I was like, I think we need to just go there and be there. I don't want to leave Texas. I love Texas. But I think we need to go back for them because it was just something in my spirit. Yeah. And I'm glad I did because they went through some things in college and we needed to be there for them. And so we moved back. And so we were going straight to Spokane. Some things didn't work out and Moses Lake offered me a job. Mm-hmm. And so they did. And then I knew a guy named Jay Day, and he's the chief now for Eastern Washington University Police Department. And he was like, hey, man, you need to come down here, man.
What's his name?
Jay Day.
Jay Day. Was he a guy that lived here in Moses Lake one time?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But he may have. But he says, hey, man, you ought to come down here, man. This is all about, we I know you're about community outreach and reaching people, and this would be the perfect opportunity for you. So he brought me down there. That's when the highlight of all the football. And so we're there. We got free tickets. We're in there, the football. Everything is crazy. ESPN is over there and all.
Cooper Cup and stuff.
Yeah. And so I could tell you how I met him. That was crazy. He's a good guy. He's such Cooper Cup when I got over there. And, man, right away I was sold. So I put an application in, did the polygraph, all that stuff, you know, everything I needed to do, and came over here, man. And it was a blessing. So I spent 4.5, almost 5 years with them, just kind of integrating myself within leadership and being a key influential person within leadership, and rebuilt the program there. They had a police cadet program that it was dilapidated, so I built that up, back up to it was and began to teach an academy. I taught patrol procedures, criminal law, traffic law, all types of things that I taught these kids, and they went off to be police officers, firefighters, dispatchers.
Wow, you ever take sit back and look at like where you began to where you're at and just think like, wow, just like, you know what I'm saying? Because you're a natural leader. And you're doing all these great things in leadership and mentorship. Do you ever look back and just think like, wow?
Or do you like look at like my grandfather and then now, or like, you know, like,
like
what he said, like.
Well, and it's both. It's both things. And so right now, I'm the director of campus safety for the Spokane Public Schools.
Right.
So
another leadership, right? Always, so like you've just born for that type of thing, right?
Because I just believe that true leaders, as I said in the meeting the other day, it's not likeship, nor is it leadership. It's loveship. And so, and I practice loveship with accountability, with discipline, with structure, and but I lead so much with my heart. You know, I lead so much with my heart because just based upon my whole story, and starting back to my granddaddy, like this cat jumped trains, man, hopping trains like a hobo to get to Washington, and if it wasn't for him, I couldn't be here. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. And so it started there, and just his tenacity to say, you know what, I'm gonna be something, because he was carrying seed in him, man. I'm a Moore, man. I'm him. His birth name is Erastus Pistol Moore Jr., and he changed his name to Ralph Moore Jr. because he came to the Midwest to integrate with white folks. And I told my mother, I said, Mom, if you would have told me that granddaddy's name was Erastus Pistol Moore when I was about 16, I guarantee you I would have changed my name back to that. And that name right there, Erastus, in the Bible was a town accountant. This cat couldn't read or nothing, but he knew money.
Wow.
And so just to have that. So anywho, it just started.
Man, that's good, man.
It just started with him. It started with him. And so and this is something that was tough for me, man. I went back when he was dying. He was in the bed. He had cancer. And so I had dropped out of high school. And so he was there in the bed in the house, and he says, he looks at me and he says, did you graduate? And I was like, nah, granddaddy. Wow. And so those type of things right now are the things that fuel me. You know, and so I graduated, got my associate's degree in business administration, got my bachelor's degree in business administration. And in February, I will graduate with my master's in management with a concentration in organizational leadership. So, and that's real close, real quick. So when I start my last semester I got a semester and a half in September. And so, and I'm in school right now, so I should be doing homework right now.
You think that last statement from your grandfather propelled all the rest of it?
Oh yeah. Wow. I can guarantee you, because he was my father figure. And he meant the world to me, because, I mean, this cat, so I'll tell you his heart. So he would go around Youngstown, and he would have this big pole, and he was retired, and he would collect cans. And we would stay with him, and you hear him crushing the cans, throwing them in the garage. Every morning, even before he went to church, every morning. And so we were young, man. We were young, and Granddaddy. I stayed with me and him. We were real tight, so I would hang out and watch. I didn't like. He loved baseball, but man, and he went and watched the Yankees.
Yeah,
because like the Yankees is north. He's from the south. And so. Or any of those jokers, anything that's from the east, from the up north, he wouldn't. But he would. But we would watch westerns together all the time, man.
I'm a western guy.
I love westerns.
I'm a western guy.
Oh man,
I think all of us kind of grew up on westerns. My dad watched. Yeah,
people give me a hard time, man. I watch westerns all the time.
You can leave me alone. My wife, she knows if I'm in the westerns, like in black and white, I'm good, man.
It's funny, bro, because those old movies can take you back to a moment in time.
When I put westerns, my kids, everybody's gone. I'll just be there all day watching westerns, man.
Isn't it something?
Oh, it's good.
It's good. So me and my granddaddy, man, we would stay there forever. And they didn't have no AC or anything. You got the big box fan, right? Just blowing. My granddaddy sitting there. And I'm like, I wear T-shirts to this day, undershirts. And I used to say to my granddaddy, why you wearing it? It is like 100 degrees in here. He still got a T-shirt on, but I understand now.
Yeah. I'm a tank top guy.
Something else.
My grandfather was a tank top guy.
My granddaddy was a T-shirt guy. It was him. It was like he puts. It was just like. I love him so much, man. And my cousin that lives here in Cheney, she saw me wearing a hat one day, and she was like, and so my granddaddy's name is June, and she was like, "You look just like Uncle June wearing that hat." And he dead and gone, but it's just we wear our hat the same. And it was just a cap. And sometimes I just kind of let it sit up on the top. Sometimes kind of twist it, kind of like I think T.I. do that dumb stuff.
Oh, that type.
Just kind of sitting up there sometimes. And I'll put it on. That's a southern thing. I'll put it on, and it'll get there. But oftentimes it'll work its way back to work. Yeah. So anywho, so I could talk about my granddaddy, man, forever. But he was definitely a great guy. And he was so great because my grandma was born in South Carolina, and so my granddaddy's friend was named Dallas. And so my granddaddy's friend is named Dallas. So Dallas was dating my grandmother. And so Dallas got my grandmother pregnant with my Uncle Wes and bounced. And so my granddaddy, my grandmother, man, was fine. She was half Cherokee and black and with green eyes and all this other stuff. And so my granddaddy, he got to Ohio. He went back and got my grandmother. He said, "I'm gonna take care of you and raise my uncle as his own." And so that's the type of man.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. That's good, man.
Wow. So hey, I want to kind of wind down a little bit, just because I want to be respectful of your time. But
it's all good, man. It's all good.
I just want to tap in a little bit on, because you have something kind of in the works, a book. So talk a little bit about that, man. I'm curious and excited for that, man. So.
Well, my story.
Even the name of the book is dope. I think dope. This is so much.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my my story, man. It's like, I'm telling it in bits and pieces, but it's so
much more.
I think it's not just so everybody. We has this story. And there's people that are going through that have challenging times, but they don't have anybody that's giving them, like y'all said, that break to get to that next hump. But it takes that individual having that attitude or that fortitude to push forward. And so with the book, it's good. So the book is basically, I probably shouldn't give everything away, but I'll give too much. I'll give a high level. The book is going to be about me, going throughout my whole life, and I'm going to talk about everything that's going on and everything that I've done and where I've come from, and all the little things that we didn't talk about today that have made me who I am today, because I'm the sum total of all my experiences. And I will go all the way through the book, and the last little bit of the book, the ending of the book, it's going to be me and my mother at the bus station, and the Greyhound guy is going to say, that'll be $98. And so the book is going to be called $98.
Oh.
I think it's amazing, man. I think I'm just speaking it into existence.
Yeah,
bestseller.
But $98, and so the book, the essence of the book is $98. How $98 changed my life.
Yeah,
$98, less than $100, man. That $98.
Yeah,
Right.
That.
So,
I think it's powerful.
I like it. That's legit because you talked about the $98 earlier. So like basically, let's like kind of end it. How do you want? Not just that book. How do you want it to end? How do you see everything all the way to the end? I mean, just like give us a little.
Yeah. What's the future?
What's the future? How do you want it?
Before we're at the bus station.
No, before you dead.
Oh
yeah,
man.
Where do you see yourself?
Man.
Yeah, we're talking about from now forward.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And I know it ain't gonna be.
He's just getting started.
Just kind of just give a little summary of kind of how.
I'm a successful entrepreneur that have left a legacy to my children, built a corporation that they will take over and run. If the Lord say the same, when it's all said and done and I'm going on to be with the Lord, I want to be buried on my land. And so me and my wife just recently, and I'll show you guys a video of it afterwards. We just purchased 20 acres that will be the new home for the Moore Ranch. And so, and I'm gonna leave my son. I've got some dynamic kids. I've got one that is amazing. Both of them. One has a business degree. The other one has public administration. And I have daughters that are. I have one daughter that's a pediatric nurse. I have one that works in the bank, and I have the other one that she's a program director for a college, and she oversees, runs this office for doctors and physicians and stuff. And so, man, I'm truly, truly blessed. And I don't know if you guys knew my son Randy. Y'all remember my son Randy?
I think I do.
He used to play basketball here. He was here.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, my son.
Yes.
So you know he passed away, right?
I did not know.
Yeah,
that.
so he passed away in January of 19. So he was like, that was my mini me, you know. So I had plans, and that's what I was telling my wife. I had plans for him to be in that story too. But his daughter and his son, I'm always with them, and so I have this chain. So this chain here, you ever seen Fast and the Furious?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Vin Diesel has a chain like this, and so but you can't buy it. You can only buy a fake one, and so I had. I bought a fake one for like $26, and I took it down to a jewelry design, and I had them design this in white gold and give me a white gold chain, and then I put my son's name, Randolph Van Lamont Moore Jr., on it, and his sunrise, his birthday, and his sunset date, and so I keep it with me, so it's all about legacy.
Yeah.
I didn't come this far. And I didn't go through what I went through not to be able to leave my kids something. And if I go before anything, if God wants to take me home, then they'll still be set.
Yeah.
They'll still have something to be able to start, whatever business they want. But they'll know that my dad left me something, and that's legacy, leadership. Love, loyalty, all those type of things. And so, so,
That's what's up, man.
That's good, man.
yeah.
Well, I'm proud of you, Randy.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate
I've
you.
known you for a lot of years, man.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's just cool that, and Ant too, that we've kind of seen some of that growth and some of the transition, man. So I'm proud as a friend, man. I'm
Thank
proud
you,
of you,
man.
bro.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Bro. Appreciate
And
you.
I'm excited for
Appreciate
the
you.
future it has for
Yeah,
you
yeah.
too, man.
Yeah,
for all
man.
of us, man. I
Yeah,
think
it's
we're
gonna
all
be-
kind of moving in a good direction, man. So
Yeah.
it's kind of life's kind of crazy. Life's a
Yeah.
trip.
Yeah, it is.
What the hell
man.
we doing right here, man? Interviewing people, but trying to make a difference.
But this
to
is
it too,
cool, though. This
you
is
know?
cool because, man, listen, you guys are going to change people's lives, man. I can tell you right now, like one person y'all really need to reach out to that has something to offer people, and that's Gabe Medina, man.
Yeah.
I led him to the Lord years ago, man.
Yeah.
And
is Gabriel? He's in Tri-Cities, right?
Yeah, he is, man. But that boy right there, man, yeah, and that guy was here.
Yeah.
And was and has changed his life. So I ain't gonna give all his stuff away.
Yeah.
But when you talk about those kids and those kids that you want to reach, yeah.
Well, it takes a lot of people, man, getting together, banding together for the same cause, and it takes people that been through the fire, you know, because his story's not my story, it's not his story. Everybody's got different.
Everybody's got their story,
and they can impact different people. That's important, man.
Yeah, man. We've got to do something. We have to do, man. Maybe we should. I don't know what that looks like, but we should do something like some big old event, man. Just to, I don't know what that looks like, man.
No, I think so.
Something needs to be done. Reach out to folks,
Yeah.
The thing is that I have a lot of conversations with people just everywhere I go, and I'm looking at them like, yeah, you guys should probably like get something to go, but little do I know I have enough power to do it, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things is that if you reach out to this person, reach out to that person, those are the things you got to start doing. Reaching out to your relationships to make something good, and it ain't about money. It's about just helping people.
Many hands make the workload light.
Yeah.
Many hands make the workload light.
And I think on top of that, about the money thing too, like when you have enough people doing the things for the right reasons, man, the money just shows up.
Shut up about the damn money.
No,
man.
because
I'm just talking. No, listen. No, I'm just talking about this. Don't have nothing to do with money.
I know, but what I'm saying is because to accomplish big things, that naturally has to happen at some point. But what I'm saying is when you get good people together doing good things, that just naturally comes. It's just people are gonna help. People will naturally come and want to do it.
Here's the truth of
show me the money.
Here's the truth of what you just said. And it is honest to God truth. Pastor told me this a long time ago, and it's true. You get out there, and if it's an empty little place, or even by your business downtown, and put like some sticks and put some ribbon around it and block it off like it's construction, right? Get a shovel and start digging, and see how many people stop and say, "What you doing? What you doing?"
Yeah.
So remember we talked about digging for gold and people?
Yeah.
Map it off and start digging for gold. And people are going to say, well, what you doing? You need some help?
Yeah.
We'll help you. All you got to do is start. And I'm telling you, man, people will come around. You could do it right now, go in the corner and start digging. They'll be like, hey, you need some help? What you doing? They want to know.
Yeah.
And then somebody else is going to say, how can I help?
I believe in that.
It's just human nature.
Yeah,
it's human nature, man. Everybody want to be a part of what somebody doing something positive. Yep.
I believe that.
Yeah. All right, that's it.
All right.
I like how Ant closes shit down. Just like, hey,
thanks for y'all for tuning in. Randy Moore, D Martinez, the DNA. We out.
Yeah, appreciate you, Randy. Thank you, bro.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Yes, sir. Yep.